old days, right? Everybody, the good old days, the good old days. Well, let's talk about the good old days. Come to think of it, as bad as we think they are, these will become the good old days for our children. But why don't we try to remember that kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Oh, why does it seem that the past is always better? We look back and we think the winters were warmer, the grass was greener, the skies were bluer, and the smiles were bright. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? And if we had the chance to do it all again, tell me, would we?
Hell yeah, I would. I'd go back in time and tell my father his son did good and made it out the hood with what I could. Your memories will always be good with me, as they should.
Like the corners of my mind, misty watercolor memories of the way we were. Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind. Smiles we gave to one another for the way we were.
What's going on, everyone? It's your host, the Crypto Wonder from the Crypto Wonder Podcast. Let's get right into it. First and foremost, I hope you're doing well. We're going to start this off by saying, if you call yourself a Hexican and you're an adult, if you're afraid of admitting or even publicly declaring that you like other things outside of Hex because you're afraid of being ostracized or rejected, humiliated, even, you don't like people dancing all in your videos. Come on over to Death Row. No, but for real, let's get right into it, because again, there's no point in trying to get into crypto and being so, afraid and deathly afraid of saying certain things because of how you're going to look. Who cares? No one cares. In the grand scheme of things, human beings always are looking for acceptance. Human beings will consistently vie and look for acceptance. It is the natural order and way of things. I get all that. But when you find derivatives of Hex, and if you talk about the derivatives of Hex, it's a problem. It ain't a problem for me. That's a personal problem for you and those who are detracting, your detractors and the folks who just can't see value proposition that's being created and gifted to the community. It's not my issue. You know what I'm saying? None. This is not the Hex Wonder Podcast. This is Crypto Wonder Podcast. I like what I like. I talk about what I talk about. I wasn't in Hex day 1, day 100. I might have experimented in day 120, but I didn't even understand it then. But I came from other communities, a different community, and a different community before that community, and a different community before that community in my walk in crypto. So here I am, and this is what it is. But don't mistake, like, let's be clear too, because this is where we are now. If something comes out even better and I catch wind of it, oh, I'm talking about it. And that's if I'm still blogging or doing these things, and at this point in my experience with crypto or whatever. But come on now. Folks, there's Hexicans that are afraid, straight up afraid, to publicly and openly declare that they have support for other tokens outside of Hex. And what type of, like, that type of existence to me is just like, wow, man, you're an adult. You're an adult, We're adults here. What? Somebody's gonna, spank you for saying you like Hedron? Right? They're going to, like, not invite you for movie night because, you like Icosa? What are we doing? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not cool to be afraid to be you. It's something that you should celebrate, being yourself. You should praise that. Weird to me. With these derivatives, these people, they talk about these derivatives a lot because they're here. They're not going anywhere. They're gonna stay here for as long as Hex exists. If it wasn't for Hex, you wouldn't have Hedron. You wouldn't have Icosa. You wouldn't have Maximus. You wouldn't have everything these, perpetuals or the groups, these derivatives have going on. They wouldn't exist if it weren't for Hex. And folks can't get that through their brain because they're just enamored with just one thing, just one singular, one-sided school of thought. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that you have other branches connected to the same school of thought that can actually even reinforce and propel the school of thought. When you have, it's the same thing again, like going back with the forks, in a sense. Folks are now just only thinking about ETH POS because they dismiss the fact that they have copies of Hex tokens. Hex. Not bootleg, right? Not the counterfeit. Not the fake Hex. They have Hex on 2 other chains. The chains are what's at question right now. The legitimacy of those chains. How efficient will they be? Will they prove their salt, right? Will they prove their metal over time? But Hex, the project, product, whatever you want to call it, that you have come to grow and love, is residing on Ethereum Work and Ethereum Fair. Those 2 blockchains. And folks want to dismiss that. There are risks. We get it. There are risks with everything, though. It seemed like since the merge happened with Ethereum 2.0, more questions are arising on that chain too. More questions. People are really trying to figure out how decentralized is it really. People are trying to figure out why Vitalik and his mans and them appear to have handlers, right? Calling the shots behind the scenes. But you got two other chains that provided two other copies of the hex that you love and the derivatives. You know? And when you follow and you study and you do the research regarding Hedron and Icosa, the way that those tokens are bonded to the hex T-share rate, see, it just lets me know, like, a lot of people just parrot, they just regurgitate, they just repeat what they hear. That's all. It's not something that's really consumed well. It's not something that's really, like, you could tell that they can actually formulate their own thoughts from something they've heard, they've learned, and they've understood. People just repeat. They repeat things over and over and over again. It does not necessarily mean they really know and understand. There's a difference. These folks talk about T-shares. They don't even understand T-shares really. If you're going to downgrade and downplay how two other tokens are tied directly, they're bonded, they're just like connected with the T-share rate of hex, that shows me they do not understand what they're talking about when it's about hex and the T-share rate. You can't dismiss Hedron and Icosa just off the bat if you respect hex T-shares, when those tokens are bonded to the T-share rate. Whatever, call them. You could call them whatever you want. B shares, whatever shares. They're tied, connected. When the T-share rate goes up, what do you think happens to those two tokens? It's crazy, because a token like Icosa is tied twice to the T-share rate. Do y'all not get it? Like, the value propositions, folks don't understand. They just don't see it. They just don't. And it's okay, because not everyone is going to see everything when you see it, or understand things when you understand it, or, maybe many more have and more won't. Who knows? Who knows? I know I like when y'all like to follow charts and math and see something, visually see something, right? Everybody was talking about the 10,000X, including me, and we'll continue to talk about that, because that's something that Hex was able to accomplish in less than 2.5 years, as it was stated in the beginning when Hex launched. 10,000X in 2.5 years. The 10,000X happened in 623 days. A little over a year and a half, under 20 months, something like that, about 20 months. 20 months, what? What do you think the T-share rate did? While Hex Liquid went up 10,000X in price, how many X's do you think the T-share rate did? It went up more than 10,000. So, but, no, you can't do derivatives because it's not Hex. You not only can you not do derivatives, but completely dismiss and forget about those copies on Ethereum PAL and Ethereum Fair. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't know. That's why I'm not part of, I don't join any, just, it's whatever information you do for yourself, you collect for yourself, is what's important. As far as doing research, collecting information, understanding, studying, just whatever way you get your info, whatever way, however, you investigate, you find whatever you need, you make a decision that works for you. You make the decision that works for you. And as a man, you should always be able to represent yourself with your head up high, right? standing on whatever you stand and you believe in, and not feel bad about it if people are not going to always agree with what you have to say. Because guess what? Who cares? You have to always be good with you and the decisions you make as an individual, especially in a space like this with crypto. It's still lawless. It's wild, wild west. They're trying to bring regulation, but until then, it's going to be what it's going to be, because you know things take time. But look, the reason why I'm talking about these things is because there's an event that's about to happen that, if y'all didn't know, is about to happen. Now you know, November 13th, that's the auction day for the Hedron and Icosa system. As far as the HSIs that were made on August 14th are coming up for auction. The HSIs that were made and sold to the Icosa contract are coming up for auction November 13th. Do your own research. Do your own research. This is not my channel to find, technical and analytical data, etc., etc., etc. It's not what we do over here. It's not what I do over here. I just give you little breadcrumbs that's going to provide you enough to create a trail for you to go somewhere. Hopefully somewhere where you can find something that is worth looking into or of value. It's up to you. But I can tell you one thing, it's really it's a lot going on. It's but it depends on perspective and your attitude. If you have an attitude ready to be, receptive and do the right thing, then more power to you. But I'm not going to pretend that there's other things going on within the Hex ecosystem, because again, if it wasn't for Hex pumps everything within the ecosystem. It's not only about Hex anymore. It is what it is. It's not just about Hex anymore. You know what I'm saying? Hex, you stake in Hex, you got to deal with Hedron. Period. It's here. It's not going anywhere. You can't erase it. So what, you're not going to talk about it? Even Richard Hart, he had to give even though his voice lowered when he was, you got Hedron, Icosa, Maximus, Hedron, Icosa, Maximus. He had to say something because it's here to stay. It's here to stay. But y'all, again, you be mad at somebody like me or other people who talk about other things, but you won't give him that smoke. Peace.